Welcome back to Golden Blue Dude, everybody. Hey, and if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, especially if you're a college football or a college basketball fan. That is what we do here, videos every single day. We've already reached 5,000 subscribers. Big goal by the end of the year, 10,000 subscribers. I know we can do it, but we can't do it without you hitting the like and subscribe button. And don't forget about sending your very short video clip of you saying either I am Golden Blue Dude or we are Golden Blue Dude. I'm making a video montage because you see and hear me every freaking day. And I thought it was about time that it was your turn to have a video. I've had a great response so far, but I want to give as many people as possible the opportunity to be a part of this video. All right, today, big subject. So the Big Ten has expressed interest of getting rid of divisions in 2023. Now, number one, how could that happen and why would that happen? Well, the answer to the first question, how could that happen? They could simply petition the NCAA to get rid of the rule that states if you have 12 or more members, you must have divisions. And the Big Ten has a lot of money drawing power, so I'm pretty sure the NCAA would waive that rule. I mean, it's a pointless rule anyways. Now, the second question, why would they do that? Well, according to the Big Ten, it's centered around college football playoff expansion. They're considering the impacts of the changes if the college football playoffs were expanded as it relates to the Big Ten. And according to some big-time sources, the Big Ten will be petitioning the NCAA to get rid of this rule depending on the results of the college football playoffs being expanded. Now, currently, they have 9 conference games with 3 out-of-conference games. So on top of getting rid of divisions, they would go from 9 conference games to 8 conference games a year. They would play 3 conference opponents, 3 every single year. Same 3 opponents. For instance, let's say Ohio State. They could play Michigan, Michigan State, and Penn State every single year, then rotate through the rest of the Big Ten Conference every year. So they'd have 3 opponents from the Big Ten that they would play every year, then rotate through the rest. On top of that, they could start cross-conference scheduling with the ACC and the Pac-12. They're alliance partners. Remember that alliance proposal. Now that creates a whole different potential because they want the potential of having more high-profile matchups to help with their chances of getting into the playoffs, especially if it were expanded, more Big Ten teams in the playoffs. Now, the reason 2023 is being talked about is the media rights deal for the Big Ten expires after the 2022 college football season. That's another reason why all these changes are definitely a big possibility with the Big Ten. And it doesn't just affect the teams in the Big Ten. So let's say the NCAA does waive that rule that states that if you have 12 or more members, you have to have divisions, and all of a sudden nobody has to have divisions. Well, remember what I've been talking about West Virginia going to the ACC or West Virginia talking to the ACC? Well, Golden Blue Dude, who would the ACC bring with West Virginia? Well, we're thinking Notre Dame or bust. Well, if Notre Dame decides not to do that, then West Virginia's not coming. Well, the fact is, Notre Dame, if they're going to choose a conference before 2036, it has to be the ACC. But they still might not join the ACC full-time. So if that rule were to change, then the ACC wouldn't necessarily have to bring anybody with West Virginia. They could bring just West Virginia. And I know, I've already talked about the benefits of bringing in West Virginia. The fan base much bigger than the population you see for the state of West Virginia. I mean, I'm telling you, even if you're not a West Virginia fan, do this experiment. Go find a West Virginia hat or a West Virginia shirt, wear it around for a week, and count how many people come up to you and say, hey, are you a West Virginia fan? What part of West Virginia are you? I'm telling you, we're everywhere. We're a bigger fan base than just the state of West Virginia. And we bring specific value to the ACC because of the built-in rivalries. So not only would West Virginia bring in more West Virginia eyeballs, but West Virginia would bring in more eyeballs from your particular fan base if you're a fan of a team in the ACC, especially Pitt, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Louisville, Boston College, Miami, and probably the rest of the ACC would build rivalries with West Virginia as well. I could see Virginia definitely being a rival. North Carolina schools probably going to be rivals. And Clemson, I mean, they still owe West Virginia for that whooping they took back in the Orange Bowl. And I'm sure Clemson could definitely get revenge on that. So a lot of positive impacts for West Virginia going to the ACC. And now that would be another hurdle that would be eliminated as far as the ACC bringing in West Virginia, because they wouldn't have to worry about bringing in somebody else. Well, it has to be Notre Dame. If it's not Notre Dame, maybe Memphis, maybe somebody else. And if we can't find a suitable partner with West Virginia, then West Virginia can't come. Well, you do away with that rule, and you don't have to worry about that. So this affects West Virginia directly, what the Big Ten is doing. And who's one of their partners? The ACC, that's right. So if you don't know by now, the alliance consists of the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the ACC. The Big Ten would shrink down to just 8 conference opponents being played every single year, and that would leave 4 out-of-conference games. Now, one of those can be your FCS Cupcake games, but that gives you 3 opportunities every stinking year to schedule a high-profile matchup. Now, it doesn't have to be all 3, but you can at least nail down one high-profile matchup, and that would help with the potential of getting more teams into the playoffs. So I definitely understand the psychology of what the Big Ten is trying to go for right here. On top of that, I mean, let's face it, not just in the Big Ten. If you look at every conference, usually, not every year, but usually there's a weak division and there's a strong division. Now, for the SEC, it used to be the SEC East was the weak division and the SEC West was the strong division. Well, this year, it wasn't that. Georgia was the best out of the East, Alabama was the best out of the West, and they played in the national championship, so that worked out fine. But what about the ACC? The ACC, the Atlantic has been dominating, and the Coastal has been terrible, and we've been getting these lopsided matchups in the ACC championship game. Now, I know a Coastal team won it this year, Pitt, but that's an exception. That's not normal. Usually it is the Atlantic. Well, if you get rid of divisions, then it wouldn't matter, as far as Atlantic and Coastal. It would just be the 2 best teams. The teams that have the best records going head-to-head, even if they already played once, that's fine. That's fine. What's the point of having a championship game? I don't care if it's a national championship or a conference championship. It's having the 2 best teams play against each other. Even if they've already played, that doesn't matter. Now we jump over to the Big Ten. The Big Ten East has been much stronger than the Big Ten West. I mean, Michigan obliterated Iowa in the Big Ten Championship. And there was 3 Big Ten East teams that finished in the top 10. And how many times in a row has a Big Ten East team won the Big Ten Championship? So it would definitely increase parity. I mean, you look at the Big 12. Yes, they only have 10 members, and that's why they don't have any divisions. But the 2 best teams play each other because they don't have divisions. So they have great conference championship games. So yes, I do think the NCAA needs to do away with that rule because, I mean, you want the 2 best teams playing in the conference championship. Period. End of story. And it would help West Virginia because if you bring in West Virginia and not a partner and it's odd numbers, 15, not 14, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And maybe that's one of the reasons why Notre Dame hasn't been able to join the ACC full-time, because if they were to join the ACC full-time, then it would be odd numbers. So either way, you get rid of the rule. Notre Dame could join without anybody, or West Virginia could join without anybody. So that's a win-win for the ACC. I don't understand that rule. It needs to be done away with. I agree with you, Big Ten, on getting rid of that rule. So y'all let me know what you think on this. Are you in agreement? Do you think divisions should be done away with? Are you satisfied with as is? One division dominating the other division, and the second best team being always left out because the second best team is in the same division of the best team in the conference. I'm not okay with it, but you might be. So let me know in the comments section. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.